Alright, hello guys. In this video we're going to be talking about our next major winter storm or potential major winter storm. It's looking pretty major at this point, and the very interesting thing about this one is it's going to affect basically the entire United States from the southern Rockies all the way through the central United States and into the northeastern United States. So basically everybody is going to be affected by this storm. Very, very interesting stuff. Now before I get started with this video though, I would ask that you do subscribe if you do like weather related content, and also make sure to share this with your friends and family if they do live in the affected regions or if they just enjoy weather related content. Now let's get right into things. As always, we're going to take a look at our current advisories, watches, and warnings. First things first, for the impacted regions, and the only area that actually has some watches and warnings is Colorado there, which is going to be kind of the most western affected region by this storm specifically. And there is a lot of snow systems moving into the Colorado area at this point, so it's hard to determine if this is for our storm that we're talking about in this video that's going to be coming up in the next few days, or if this is for some of those storms that are going to be affecting these areas beforehand. Nevertheless, we do have winter storm warnings and watches for Colorado. Pink is warnings, blue is watches there, and these are areas that are expected to see major accumulations very, very soon. Now let's take a look at our little storm track map here that I like to make for a lot of these storms, and we can see that it is going to start out and really start to develop there in between New Mexico and Colorado, and it's going to make its way into Oklahoma and up through into some of the central United States and in through the mid-Atlantic, impacting a lot of areas in the northeastern United States. In that blue and white region, that's where I expect a good chance of a snowstorm, and in that green region, I'm expecting mostly rain but potentially some snow. We'll have to wait and see. Now, we're about to get into our simulated radar on our GFS model here, and it's going to tell a lot of the story about when and where to expect snowfall for a lot of these regions. Alright, so on our first frame here, this is 12Z Friday, December 13th, which is going to be tomorrow from the time I'm making this video. And this is going to be the morning time, very, very early in the morning, on December 13th. And we can see that there is some snowfall there for Nevada, Utah, Oregon, Wyoming, but we already talked about this in yesterday's video, so I'm not really going to talk too much about that. If you want to check that video out, I uploaded it yesterday. It's right on my channel, but I am wanting to pay attention to Colorado there, which is seeing some moderate snowfall, especially for some of the higher elevation areas. Now let's move on to 12Z Saturday, which is going to be December 14th, morning time, and we can see Colorado is still receiving moderate to heavy snowfall, especially again in those higher elevation regions. Very, very interesting to see consistent snowfall going on for these areas over a few days. Then by that evening into the nighttime, we can still see some snowfall for these regions, but we switched the view to the south central United States where we can see Colorado, Kansas, Missouri, because things are about to take a interesting turn and start really impacting more of the central United States. We see our low pressure system trying to develop over New Mexico and Colorado there, and that's only going to continue to occur as we move on. As we head towards Sunday, December 15th, early morning, we can see that low pressure system is continuing to develop and bring heavier and heavier snowfall for Colorado. We do see some snow showers entering Nebraska and Kansas by this point, which is going to be kind of a common occurrence as we see the storm really start to develop here. All right. As we head towards that evening and nighttime, we can see those showers ahead of the storm really start to develop for Nebraska, Kansas, Missouri, Indiana, Illinois. All of these regions are receiving moderate snowfall by this point, and this could lead to an inch or two ahead of time. We see that our low pressure system is still located over New Mexico and bringing Colorado snowfall, where we're going to see significant amounts of snowfall, obviously, for some of those southern Rockies as this storm continues. Now we're about to move on and take more of an eastern view, as this one's going to make its way through the Great Lakes regions into the northeastern United States as well. Alright, so as you can see, we do see some of that moderate snowfall still there for Colorado. We'll take a look at our total snowfall at the end of the video, but basically things just continue with snow showers over the next few days. Now we see Kansas, Missouri, Iowa, Nebraska, Illinois, and into Indiana getting light to moderate snowfall for some of those regions. We also see some snowfall going on for Ohio and a little bit of West Virginia, Maryland there maybe in a lighter fashion, but really that's not going to lead to too much. This is morning time of December 2nd, or December 16th, by the way, Monday. Now, as we head towards that evening, we do see On this model, we do see Chicago and some of those more northern regions receive snowfall. All of the rest of the models keep this one way further south, and I'm going to show that on the total snowfall coming up, and that'll give a more clearer view of what we're expecting for sure. But on this model, we're definitely seeing Chicago and northern Indiana and southern portions of Michigan as well getting some of that moderate snowfall on the GFS model, which could completely be correct, but the European model disagrees. Again, I'll show that later on. By the time we're at Tuesday, December 17th morning, we can see not a lot of those southern New England or northeastern regions get any snowfall, as this one stays well to the north. Again, this is kind of an outlier, and the other models completely disagree with this. By that evening, though, we see snowfall enter Maine and northern New Hampshire and northern Vermont, and then it's going to get out of here after that point. We do have a 994 millibar low pressure system, which is quite intense, actually, so it's actually not a very weak storm whatsoever. Now we're about to get into our total snowfall on some of our weather models here, take a look at model by model, and give you a clearer view of what to expect as far as total snowfall for your areas. Alright, so starting things off with the GFS, this is the furthest north model out of all of them, like I stated before. We see a lot of those purples and pinks showing up. That's going to be our 4 to 6 inch regions in the purples, and then our 6 to 12 inch regions in the pink. Take a look at Colorado, though, where we see a lot of greens popping up. That's where we're at 12 to 24 inches of snow for some of those Rockies. Not very surprising, considering we saw days and days of snowfall. I'm sure nobody's surprised by that. But notice we have Chicago in the 4 to 6 inch region, as well as Detroit kind of in that 2 to 4 inch region. So a lot of these northern regions getting a lot of snowfall. We do see some of those southern regions that we didn't really see any blue popping up, see snowfall, but really I think that's going to show up as mostly mixed event there on this model as far as what it's showing. Now, as we take a look at the Canadian model, it's a bit further south. You can see Kansas, Missouri, and central Illinois and Indiana and Ohio, but really not Chicago. And this is kind of common on the models from what I've seen so far. The GFS is showing Chicago get a ton of snowfall for some reason, and then the rest of the models completely disagree. Now let's take a look at your European model here, and we can see this one is actually even further south. Those purples indicating 6 to 8 inches of snow, into the pinks, that's where we're expecting maybe 10 to 20 inches of snow there. So you can see the southern Rockies there in Colorado expected to get that much on the European. But notice the purples are really for Kansas, Missouri. We see pretty heavy snowfall, 6 to 10 inches of snow. And then as we head towards the eastern United States, New York City, south of Boston really being the bullseye there for 2 to 6 inches of snow. Very, very interesting because the GFS completely disagreed, obviously. So this is a completely different outlook. We see a lot of the mid-Atlantic and northeastern United States, more southern New England, getting the 2 to 6 inch amounts. So we'll have to see how this one plays out for sure. Now we're about to take a look at your two Ensemble models, your European Ensemble model and the GEFS, which is the GFS Ensemble model, because it's very, very important to see if it has Ensemble support. We want to see that European Ensemble look just like the European model, and we want the GFS Ensemble model to look just like the GFS model. That would indicate that the model has a really good idea of what's going to happen here. Alright, as you can see, the European Ensemble model looks very, very similar to the European model as far as track and placement. We do see a lot of lake effect snow take place after the storm. We see central New England into the interior New England regions getting maybe 6 to 10 inches of snow, which is a bit different than what we saw on the normal model. We do see some of those bring it further north, and some of them bring it further south, and that's why we see from New York City all the way into interior New England, all of these regions receiving snowfall because it has models that are all over the place. That's a really good indication that that's what we're looking at here. As we take a look at the GEFS, which is the GFS Ensemble model, we also have good ensemble support on this one because we see Chicago getting a lot of snowfall, which was a big determining factor on the GFS model, where we saw that it differed from a lot of the other models, and the GFS Ensemble model definitely supports that as well. It also supports the southern New England regions not really getting snowfall as well. So this is really just a battle of the models. The GFS and European models are in complete disagreement. I'm not making a snowfall forecast for this one whatsoever. My own hand-drawn forecast yet. I think either tomorrow or by Monday I'll be making one of those. Probably tomorrow I'll do one for kind of Colorado into the central United States, and then maybe Monday I'll do one for the northeastern United States. Obviously Sunday is my weekly forecast, so I won't be doing it that day, but I'll figure something out to where I can make a forecast, because this one's actually a moderate to major snowstorm in my opinion. and it definitely deserves to get a good snowfall forecast from me, obviously. Now, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you will share this with your friends and family if they are impacted by this storm in any way whatsoever, and I'll see you guys in the next video.